It's the Open Bedroom Doors Show.
I'm Angela Skirtu, and I open bedroom doors. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Open Bedroom Doors Show. I'm Angela Skirtu. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified sex therapist, and we are going to have a great show for you today. Today, I have with me Nancy Wright. And Nancy, will you introduce yourself for everybody listening on the show?
Yeah, I am a former sex toy consultant and sales and educator for women. Now I am getting my graduate degree to become a therapist and then pursue certification as a sex therapist also.
Well, I'm so excited to have you. This is a segment on the show I like to call Sex Positions, where I judge a unique topic of sexual health that I found in the media. Today's sex position topic is 8 2024 trends you've probably not tried but should consider in the Grazia magazine. All right, well, we're going to talk about this first one, which is that orgasm hypnosis. Apparently, people are using a guided meditative way for women and men to connect their bodies through hypnosis. So, I don't know. First of all, I've always been on the fence about the hypnosis thing. I do know people use it. I know some people swear by it. That's fine. If you believe in it, cool. I've always struggled with things like hypnosis, but I have read and learned different research. Like, for example, when you drive your car and you go into there are ways we go into hypnotic states where it's like, have you ever driven home but not remembered that you drove? And then you're like, oh, I guess I'm home. So there is sort of like a muscle memory that your body can get into, which is the state of hypnotic, hypnosis that they're talking about. But in terms of using it as a therapeutic practice, I haven't had a lot of experience personally with it. So I will put that out there as I don't know how I feel about it, but whatever, you do you. So using hypnotic sex for orgasm, I do know that there's people who can pull up sensation memories and think their way into orgasms. I do know that there are a variety of kinds of orgasms. In fact, you can get orgasms in your spine, you can get orgasms in your nipples, you can get orgasms in different parts of your body. When I have worked in the past with people who have disabilities, I had a client who was paralyzed from the chest down, and he had re-experienced orgasm in his chest. So I do know that there are ways for you to orgasm that aren't the typical, genital related orgasms. And so, yeah, why not? If you can get an orgasm through hypnosis, have at it. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to be able to tell you how to do it. You're going to have to do some chat GPT research on that one. But, if you all right, find a way to orgasm. My big plug here is I just want you to have a good time, whatever sex you're having, just as long as it's consensual and you are choosing what you're doing. You're not just feeling kind of forced or pushed into something. Have at it. Have a hypnotic orgasm. We're always looking for sponsors. If you're interested in sponsoring Sex Positions, please reach out at openbedroomdoors.com and submit a contact form. We will even let you pick the position. Are you ready to take your sex life beyond the bedroom? You want to spice things up and have a little fun? Come join me for my couples retreats. We are taking Open Bedroom Doors to exotic locations and introducing you to fun, sexy new ways to intimately connect with your partner in a beautiful location surrounded with serenity, warmth, connection, that beachy vibe. This retreat is your opportunity to say, nope, I'm leaving the kids and work at home, and we're going to go to a place where we focus on us. We slow down, we get into our sensory experience, and I just want you to ignite your sex life and learn how to really take your sex life from 0 to 100. I'm Angela Skirtu at openbedroomdoors.com, and I hope to see you at my next retreat. So let's dive right into our topic with Nancy Wright. So Nancy, I have you on because, a couple of reasons, but for today, I want to talk to you about being an ex-Mormon. I'm really curious about that story. So what's going on there?
Well, I was raised Mormon, and it is in our household, we didn't think about, or have sex, of course, until we were married, is what we were taught and allowed. And my mom had pulled me out of school on sex ed days. She gave me a brief little version of it that made it sound horrible and disgusting and uncomfortable and very undesirable.
What can I
So
hear? Is it okay if you share, like, what was the thing that she did that made it horrible and uncomfortable?
I've just very matter of fact, like the penis puts the sperm in the vagina and it fertilizes the egg, and that's where the baby comes from. And then the mom has to push the baby out of her vagina. And that doesn't sound fun or comfortable either. So
it's very robotic. So here's penis, pop. Does it shoot it?
There's no pizzazz. There's no lovemaking. There's no romance or foreplay. Talk about the importance of foreplay or lubrications or any of the other elements that can make sex great.
You know what's so interesting about that? So, like, I was thinking of, so nieces and nephews, when you put them together, they're called nibblings. So one of my nibblings, when they were really young, that was the explanation that was given for sex. And what they did is they said, so do you like cut the sperm out of the penis and then put it in the vagina? Is that how it works? And I was like, but like when you don't, what's that?
How old were they?
They were like 8 or 9, like young, like kids are kids. But I just thought it was so interesting because it was a similar sort of like, it wasn't described or explained. And so they had this assumption that, okay, at some point when I'm married, they're going to cut this out of the penis.
Oh, and then you get body sensations, you get touch, you get feelings, you get like little butterflies, and you don't know what they are or what they're going to lead to. And then you want to explore it. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is crossing a line. Oh, this might not be okay. This feels good. It's got to be wrong.
I know. Oh, the guilt. So tell us about that. Like, what are some of the challenges you had with having essentially no sex education or very little sex education? What were some of the challenges you had growing up with that sort of mindset?
One thing we were taught was that having premarital sex was a sin almost as bad as murder. And so it was very, very, it was
tough.
very off limits. And in the household where I was raised and in my friendship community, the girls I grew up with, we didn't know about anything. And that was awkward to have to learn in the locker room or from 17 magazine or Marie Claire, just like so fascinating and so unfamiliar. Just any resources or information was like taboo.
Well, and if you think about it, so this actually reminds me of a little bit of an origin story for me. So I grew up in purity culture myself, not Mormon, but like a version of it. And I remember all of us women were taught like sex is bad, sex is evil. And it feels, I don't know about you, but it feels like in my growing up, it was more targeted to women specifically. Did you see that or did you see something differently?
Well, two things on that. Absolutely. It was boys don't do this, but it was also girls dress like this. Girls don't show your shoulders. Girls don't show your knees. Girls don't make eye contact. Just very modest, demure, reserved, withheld as far as attracting or even feeling attractive. Anything that would make you feel pretty was kind of like, ooh, not just pretty, but sexy, was like, ooh, kind of taboo. Like, oh, don't go down that you might end up having sex and the big sin.
I feel like for me growing up in a similar environment, I felt like the responsibility was on my shoulders. Like it was my job to make or break that sexual experience. And like in some ways the guy had a pass. Did you feel that at all? Or was it very different?
I would say it was pretty different because masturbation was discussed heavily in regards to boys not masturbating and boys not touching themselves. And they never referenced girls being able to masturbate. I honestly didn't know that women could masturbate till I was about 26. It had just not occurred to me. It wasn't anything in my world.
Interesting. So boys don't masturbate and women don't be pretty or sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you are, it's the girl's fault. And the boys will be boys.
Well, and that's where I was saying, like, I felt that responsibility, right? Like it's your fault if you dress a certain way, then it's your fault that he liked you or that he wanted to be with you or that you guys went too far because you looked a certain way. So like there was almost shame for being pretty or sexy in any way. And so like here's the weird place where it came out in my life, right? So I was raised by a single dad. And I always struggled with femininity and like how to like lean fully into my feminine side. So I remember in high school, I would start to put makeup on. I have makeup on, like I could do it now, but back then I was terrified to wear makeup. Like I would wear it and then I'd get to high school and then I would look at it and I'd be like, I can't do this. And I would wash it all off literally as soon as I got to high school. It was the craziest thing. And I was like, it took me a long time to be able to wear makeup and to be proud of myself in it. Did you have any elements of like, even so you mentioned being sexy wasn't okay. So like, are there ways that you struggled to like lean into sexy for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, my mom, when I first started wearing makeup, I tried to go to school and she said I looked like a whore. And I didn't even know what that was.
You're like, what's a whore?
Why are you calling me this? I'm just trying to explore myself and express myself. And what does sex have to do with that? Why is everything so black and white? And yes, sex or no sex. And the world is a spectrum. All of this is a spectrum. And so it was very restrictive.
Yeah, it was. It was very restrictive. No, it's fine. I mean, it's like sometimes it's funny. So I want to like point that out. Like sometimes when you go back there, you're remembering these times and then it's like, it's a little shutdown, right? Like, man, that stunk. I didn't like that
and then
experience.
You feel like I've done something and now I'm just a slut. And a slut is a bad thing. When I was a child, it was a bad word or youth.
Yeah.
You know, don't be a slut. You're such a slut, blah, blah, blah. It's just, and you didn't want that reputation. And so you had to for us, it was making sure our shoulders were covered and we weren't wearing makeup and, we weren't spending any time alone with boys. There was a rule called 4 on the floor, which means if we're sitting, we have to have our 4 feet on the floor, our feet and his feet, so that you're not like entwined.
4 on the floor.
4 on the floor.
Oh my gosh. If you guys are listening and you had 4 on the floor, please submit comments and let me know that you had this rule in your life. How many of you had 4 on the floor? Were there any other rules like that? That's so interesting.
Yeah. The Holy Spirit goes to bed at midnight. And so
what does that mean? Hold on, you got to go deep into it.
If you're not home by midnight and in bed away from your date, you're going to sin. You're just going to sin. It's inevitable. After midnight, the Holy Spirit isn't around to protect you anymore.
Wait, so like the Holy Spirit has a bedtime and like he gets kind of tired and he's like, yeah, I'm done like godding it up for now.
Yeah, he can't help you with that 4 on the floor anymore. He's like, I'm going to bed. Feet are going up. You're out of here.
You know what's so funny about that is like, okay, so then think of how that like would transfer into adulthood, right? So like, does that mean that the only time you're allowed to have sex is after midnight because the Holy Spirit's finally asleep? So now you don't have to worry about him watching you.
Except that when you're married, it is acceptable.
Oh, okay. So then like the Holy Spirit, he has his regular bedtime. Do you have to have sex before or after?
But within marriage, it's totally okay. Some Mormons would never see their spouse naked or undressed.
Really?
They'll even have sex with the covers over them completely and the lights completely off because they're so ashamed of their bodies. They're so unfamiliar with sex. They're taught that it's just for reproduction, no fun, pleasure, purpose, connection in it. And so only have sex when you're trying to have a baby, which takes out all the fun.
Well, you know what's interesting about that? So I have a story from my mom. So my mom is super sexual and my dad's a total prude. Dad, if you're watching, sorry, but I mean, this is true. You are. I love you. But like, so what's funny is my mom told me this story about how when they were first married, my dad was like, take your clothes off. Like, and then he'd like turn the light off and they basically like turn the lights off. They both got their clothes off. They got in bed and that's how they had sex. And I'm pretty sure that was their wedding night. Like, holy cow. And then they always slept with a pillow between them.
Yeah.
Like married.
I saw in New York once, in some of the highly religious areas, they'll dry their sheets. They'll wash their sheets and dry them, and there'll be a hole in the middle. Some people,
oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Very strict religions don't even allow you to touch or see each other naked whatsoever. You just have that hole for procreation.
Because that's hot. Like a little like
Very.
sex hole. Oh, I mean, there's a glory hole. So like some people like a whole situation.
Yeah,
Maybe that's like a
just mix it up.
fetishized version of that, where it's like, we can't see each other, but you can suck me off through a hole.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, and so hold on. I do want everybody listening. We respect your values, whatever your values are. I deeply respect everyone where they land on the spectrum. The one thing I love about my audience is it actually spans across a wide variety of values, beliefs. I believe sex is universal and everybody wants to have good sex. And so while we are talking a little bit about what your experience has been in the Mormon religion, what's interesting is I'm seeing shows that like, oh, it's the moms. There was some mom show that I'm watching, which is the new age of Mormons who are trying to like take back their sexuality. And I feel like I've seen that in my religion too, like that I grew up with, that there's people who are like, you know what, we realize that we were raised with some bad messages and we really want to change this. Like, I'm curious if you're seeing that too, or you're like, yeah, I couldn't do it anymore.
Well, one thing that I loved is when I was selling and entertaining with romance parties, was doing them for these women who are more conservative and didn't have an outlet or an inlet for information. And so making sex something that they could talk about conversationally, giving them clues or cues to like start a conversation with their husbands about what feels good, and taking ownership of that, and being able to communicate it and explore it and experience it, and helping to give these women permission and ideas for making their marriages, which are, so sanctioned and central, to making them enjoyable in like this really, really personal, intimate way.
Yeah, I think it's such a good thing that you were doing that, because what I found is that, okay, so yes, purity culture was kind of the thing when I was growing up, but now that I'm 42, I'll put it out there, it's fine. I don't care, right? So like, now that oh, that's cute. Thanks. So like, I'm in my 40s, but I love it. But so I'm finding women who they're still very religious. They still very much care about their value system, but they realize they were raised in a situation that wasn't good for sexual health and wellness. And so I'm actually teaching a couples retreat this weekend, and guess who hired me? It was a female pastor who's like, I want you to teach my people about sexual health. And I was just like, that's so exciting. I can't wait to teach them.
That's amazing. I also think one thing that comes with it is shame.
Yes,
that if you
absolutely.
do cross a line, you have this extraordinary burden that you carry with you. And then part of that is like, well, I've done it once. Now I can do it. I may as well. I've sinned. I've tainted the water. I may as well go on and do it. And then still not having the place to have the conversations about safety, about protection, about family planning.
Yeah, because once sex has been put in that shame space in your brain, it's literally in your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn space, right? So I'm literally in my work helping people get out of that to sex is a normal, natural, healthy part of life. So I find in my practice, I have to first teach people that sex is okay to talk about, that it's not this big, terrible thing in the room. It's not, like you said, the taboo or the shame, but it's normal and it's natural. And then once they give themselves permission to be sexual, then I'm seeing them able to talk more and ask for what they want. What are you seeing in your work?
Yeah, just being able to give them the words to know, to be able to.
They don't even have the language. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have a personal peeve when people are calling it a cookie, like their labia or their vagina, the whole thing, they're calling it a cookie. It's just important to know the right words. Even if they're not cute or clever, you're like, hey, here's my clitoris. It's, not so sexy, but it is an appropriate word to identify the body and to know what it does and the function of pleasure. And
well, Nancy, we're towards the end of the interview. Thank you again for joining us. Can you let the audience know where they can find you?
Sure. The best place to find me is on Facebook. If you search for Finding Nancy at Gmail, like Finding Nemo, you can find and follow me. And then I can also add you to a secret Facebook group where we have lots of fun sex jokes and conversations.
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks, Angela.
That's too spicy. Well, guys, On the Open Bedroom Doors show, we often have content that's a little too spicy for your typical social media platforms. So for those of you who are like, I love everything Angela Skirtu and I want to know all the spicy details, we actually have a space where we put the uncut shows, and it is at patreon.com/openbedroomdoors. So you can subscribe to that channel and get all the behind the scenes, all that spicy stuff that I wasn't able to put in the show. That's too spicy. So I hope you can join me at patreon.com/openbedroomdoors. Keep in mind, that is how you support me. So it is a subscription channel where you have to pay to subscribe, but you are becoming a supporter of me and putting out this awesome content as a result. So please join me for those spicy things. Want to be a sponsor for the show? So we have all kinds of sponsorship opportunities, from endorsements to sponsoring an entire episode to sponsoring a section of episodes. And if you would like to become a sponsor, please go to openbedroomdoors.com and look for the sponsorship page to become a part of this show. We would love to have you. So if you want to be a sponsor, we have so many opportunities. This is how you support the show and you become a part of something cool, because the show is all about creating sex education for free to educate the masses. So please visit me at openbedroomdoors.com and become a sponsor. So in every show, I answer audience questions, and I have my bears with me, Berry Bonds and Consent Cup. And if you have any questions you would like me to answer, please post them in the comments below or submit a contact form at openbedroomdoors.com. All right, today's question is, my wife is going through menopause and doesn't want to have sex with me. What do I do? So menopause is a time, first I want to tell you, there's perimenopause and there's menopause. Menopause is the one day a year after your last period. It's one day. Menopause is one day. Perimenopause is the 10 years prior to that, when your body's going through these ups and downs, changes in hormones. How do you talk to your wife as you say, hey, I've noticed that some things have changed and I still want intimacy as a part of our life. I'm open to what that looks like, but can you talk to me about how we can make it a part of our lives again? Because I miss it. And that's it. You just start the conversation. You see what she says. If she aggressively attacks you, then you're going to have to you're going to have to stop the conversation and be like, hey, I do want to talk to you about this when you're ready. Let's talk about this. Give it a few days or a week and then bring it up again. But again, in a gentle, loving way where you're just saying, hey, it's important to me and I need your help. What can we do? Can we go to a therapist? Can we go to the doctor? Because this is an important part of my life that I do want to be a part of our life. Now, if you do keep hitting somebody who is just being very aggressive or even abusive towards you, then at that point you have a decision to make. Because if you're hitting a wall, right? And if the wall is there and they're not willing to budge or change, then at some point you've got to decide, okay, how long can I stay in a relationship where my partner doesn't really care about my needs? And I do think it's important to tell your partner before you go make a decision to divorce or please don't cheat. That hurts so many people. But you are going to have a conversation about what are we going to do? What do we need to do differently going forward? Because I'm not happy. And if we can't fix this, what do we need to do to change this? I own St. Louis Marriage Therapy. You can find me at www.openbedroomdoors.com. I'm Angela Skirtu, and please actually submit a contact form if you'd like to get on my email list. I'm Angela Skirtu, and I open bedroom doors. Good night, and have a sexy tomorrow.